So what's up and welcome back to my channel. It's JVceo. Part 2 of the video, answering questions, giving pointers with regards to your goals for 2023. If you don't have a vision board, go and get one. Write down your goals, because if you don't target it, you don't achieve it. That would be our saying for this year. Anyways, we've got, I don't even know what number I'm on, but we have someone here that wants to finish their building projects, their property projects, expand their courier company and start their farming project. For farming projects, I've just got to say, look, it's a knowledge-based game. So how much knowledge do you have about it? Don't just rush into anything and say, oh, it sounds good, or people are making money from it, so I'll try and make money from it as well. So before I even went into, let's say, crypto or stocks or property, I've done hours and hours and hours. Like on some days I'd wake up, I'd do 18 hours worth of research, day in, day in, day in, day in, day out. So that's the level of focus and tenacity you need to have if you want to achieve feats in industries that isn't familiar to you. Also, it's about location. If you're telling me starting farming in the UK, I might not be the biggest fan of it, just because I don't see where the market or the gap in the market is. But you probably know better. I don't know where you're trying to do that. You want to expand your courier company. I think I know who this is. What I'd say to you, I've got a courier company as well. I've got a logistic company. I don't like to call it a courier company. I think courier company makes it sound small. When you're turning over $1 million plus, you're not a small business. But anyways, so what you want to focus on is Amazon and CX as well. Try to do CX, Amazon, and try and get some contracts on ground, so that on a daily basis, you know what routes your drivers are actually going to be applying. And you want to finish up your building project. I can't really advise much on this because I don't know what your building projects are, but I think for you to be able to do that, you have to keep a very strong hold or strong lid on your finances. So, less going out, less champagne, less eating out, and more saving. And one more thing, try not to overwhelm yourself, because it looks like you're trying to do quite a few things. Try not to overwhelm yourself this year. Moving on from that, we have someone that wants to buy his council property in Moorgate. Wow, what a location. What a location. Some of you may not know where Moorgate is. How can I explain? Moorgate is like not far off from like Liverpool Street, things like Northern Line. But yeah, what a location. I think Moorgate is a brilliant location. I didn't even know there were council flats in Moorgate. I think that's amazing if you can do it, because you get a massive discount as well. I recommend for everyone to purchase a council flat. If you are in a council flat already, use that opportunity and get into the property market. And you want to scale your business to a minimum of 20,000 a month. You can do that, but I promise you now, the only sustainable way of doing that is, number one, through grassroots branding. Like, you need to identify where you are in the market, where your space is in the market, brand yourself right, obviously get your marketing right, because without that, you'd have a couple of months at 20 and you'll go back to doing 2K, 3K, 5K, and so on and so forth. You start to realize that there's a lot of inconsistencies with your pattern. So branding and marketing is your top friend. Moving on from that, you also want to start focusing on delegating. If you're talking about turning over, $250,000 a year, you have to do that through delegating. Don't be jack of all trades that wants to do everything in-house. Learn to delegate. Try and get yourself a PA. Try and get yourself a VA, that's a virtual assistant. Learn to delegate. That will genuinely change your life. I'll probably be in contact with you as well and see how I can assist you in your journey. And fluent in Spanish, that's an easy one, bro. Just go up to Fiverr and just hire a couple. In fact, I've got a couple of Spanish tutors, because I started learning last year and I didn't have the time to continue. But I think that's amazing. I think in today's day and time, you have to be in a position where, you're multi-talented, whether it's speaking multiple languages, whether it's being well-traveled, the world is opening up, and the more you have in your arsenal, the more you can play in the game of the new world as well. Moving on from that, this person wants to build their business income to match what they make from working. I think that's easy. First thing you should look at is, what business are you going to set up? Before you finalize what business you want to set up, look at, solving a problem in the need category. A need, is there a need for the business that you want to set up? If there isn't a need for it, is there a want for it? Those are the two areas you should focus on. So don't just do anything for the sake of it. Think about a need. So part of the reason why, let's say, we went into logistics was there was a need for it. And then when, the whole COVID stuff happened, we realized, wow, we're in an amazing business, because the whole world came to a standstill, but trucks were still involved because there's a need for it. Without us, nothing comes to the supermarkets, and so on and so forth. So think about need. You want to also get your driver's license. That's very easy. Like, emulate the baby steps. Emulate the baby steps. Don't just say you want to do it. When would you do your first lesson? That's a question to you. That's a challenge back to you. When will you do your first lesson? Get that under your belt, and I think you will just find that things will just start moving quicker. But you have to get things done. It looks like a big mountain, but until you start taking those first few steps, you don't realize how much you're getting to the top of the mountain. And you want to purchase your first property. I've given a lot of advice on purchasing your properties, so just listen to one of the previous advice I gave and take it from there. On to the next one. This person wants to do a funded accounts. I've talked about funded accounts already, so I'm not going to talk about it. You also want to build your crypto portfolio to at least 50k. Now, what you do is simple. Do you want to have 50k in crypto long term? If you wish to have 50k in crypto long term, build a 5k crypto portfolio right now. I know Bitcoin can still go down to 16,000. You can never catch the bottom of the market. It's about averaging in and averaging down. Build a 5k portfolio right now, because I see a 10x minimum from the next run. Start to look at projects. You've got some amazing projects. I know this is a public video, so I'm not going to give out all the game, but you've got some amazing projects which we talk about on the network all the time. But build a 5k portfolio now. That would be equivalent to a 50k portfolio in the near future. And you want to develop your own profitable social media management company. I think that's amazing. I champion that as well, because I think that there is a huge opportunity for social media companies. I think a lot of people are going into the entrepreneurial space, but they're not well versed to even manage their social media, not to talk of doing their own marketing. So if you're well experienced and you have the right knowledge, the business doors are open for you. So your task for this year is get knowledge under your belt, get expertise under your belt, get the proof of concept under your belt. What companies have you moved from turning over £1,000 a month to £3,000 a month? That will determine whether you move forward or not. You can't just go and create a company, come out and think, you're going to do amazingly well. Try and do some free work as well if you can, so that will help you build confidence and experience. Next person wants to buy their first property. Well done. I hope you're able to do so. But again, ask yourself, is this the right year for you to do that? You want to become profitable within trading. I've talked about this earlier on, so the same advice applies. And you want to set up investment pots for your kids. We had a session a couple of weeks ago whereby we talked about setting up funds for your kids. I think that's amazing. You can set up a fund, invested into one of these funds, and enjoying 8% a year compounded. If you compounded 8% a year, let's say putting in £100 a month over, let's say 18 years, don't be surprised. The numbers would blow your mind. So, get in touch with our in-house financial advisor, and they'll be able to help you sort of set that up as well and guide you in the right directions. Then we have someone here that wants to buy their own property. The same advice applies. We want to learn about land purchase. Well, get in touch. Get in touch. I can teach you a lot about that. Get in touch. I think land is the future. Even in America now, they're starting to go on land investment. And then they also want to start a business that won't take too much of their time so that they can trade. You're looking for a digital business. So the same thing I said earlier on, think about a need. What need can you solve digitally that you don't have to, put in a lot of time? You can sort of set the ball rolling and, it would have the wheels ticking along and the wheels rolling over. So that's probably what you have to think about. Then we have someone that wants to expand their car sales business. Again, goes back to what I mentioned earlier on, which is branding and what separates you from the rest. So your unique selling points, losing weight, I've talked about that already, and fly out often to enjoy your spare time. And funny enough, you are one of the people that jumped on once I gave you an invite for our first live event. I think traveling will do a bunch for you guys. It opens your mind beyond imagination. I promise you. Go and look at anybody that is depressed. Go and look at anybody that isn't really progressing at the rate that they should be progressing at. You'd realize that it's usually the environment. The environment that you're in will determine your future success. The more you travel, the more you see. And there's a saying that a well-traveled man is just as intelligent, if not more wise, than an old man. So a well-traveled man is wiser than an old man. And then we have someone that wants to be fluent in French. I said that already. So just go on Fiverr, get somebody to teach you. That's quite easy. Just dedicate every Sunday, 2 hours on Sunday. By the end of the year, you'll be in a fantastic position. Someone wants to come out of their shell and get into public speaking. I have a perfect one for you. I know who you are. Start a YouTube channel. Start a YouTube channel. Believe me, that is the best practice. I'm not the greatest at public speaking, but I think I'll probably do better than I would have done previously because of my YouTube. I'm able to sit in front of the camera. I've got people in the room right now whilst I'm filming, and I'm still confidently filming. So start a YouTube channel. That will really help you a lot. And you want to sell 1 million worth of real estate in Ghana. It's about your network. Remember that. Don't go looking for £1 million. Go look for the network. Because once you have the network and you even have someone spend £100,000 with you and you do very good business with them, they can expose you to their network that then spends £100,000 with you and you do very good business with them. Before you realize it, your cost of acquisition was just one first client. Everything snowballs from then. So think about your network. Think about getting the best deals. Think about, just being that bridge between, Europe and Ghana, because it's a minefield out in Ghana. So just think of, doing amazing business and being very reliable and having fantastic deals and then building your network. And I think that'll be a match made in heaven. Then we have somebody that wants to get into property, ideally HMO. I think that's okay, but I think instead of HMO, maybe you should be looking at doing some serviced accommodation. So purchase to serviced accommodation. It's still under HMO technically speaking, but when people talk about HMO, for those of you that don't know what it is houses of multiple occupation. It's not multiple occupants, multiple occupation. So when you sort of talk about HMO, you're talking about, just working professionals renting a whole room for the month. But you can go a lot further by actually doing daily rents on rooms and running it as an Airbnb. So if you can get a really nice place in the city center, that will do you a world of good. So think about that. Buy some more watches. Again, I think Carrots and Kettle has talked about this on the network. Just connect more with different watch companies so that you can sort of register on different platforms and increases your chances of actually, getting pulled for a watch. And try as much as possible not to buy too much on a grey market. And potentially move to Dubai. I'm with you on that. I would love to get, a residency in Dubai and maybe buy a property out there as well. I think that's amazing. But what are your steps towards that? What do you do at the moment? Are you self-employed at the moment? Are you working? Are you looking to get a job out there? If you are, what kind of job would you get out there? These are all things that you have to, you have to plan out every single thing. You have to be strategic in your approach. Otherwise, it's just a pipe dream. Moving on from that, achieve a first-class honours degree in quantity surveying and get into employment this year. Oh wow, I'm impressed. I had no idea. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. And you want to buy your first property and leave renting behind this year as well. Invest and add more diversity to your portfolio. I think adding more diversity, you could do that through maybe collecting precious metal. Those of you, or some of you might know, I collect a lot of silver kilos. I collect gold as well, but it's not really kilos. I do more like ounces and stuff. So precious metal is one way of diversifying. Land investment is another way of diversifying. In fact, you actually contacted me regarding some land deals, but I haven't got back to you yet. I will do. So look into land investment, look into Airbnbs, HMOs potentially, and don't limit yourself to just the UK. Look at other emerging markets as well, and then achieving first-class honours in quantity surveying. I think that's very possible. I don't know what level you are now. Don't get too caught up with chasing the money now. You know, make sure you dedicate some time to your studies as well, and stay around the smart people, man. It expedites the process for you. And in terms of buying your first property and leaving renting behind, don't be in a rush to move out of home. If you have an amazing home, you have great parents, and you're living at home now, you're not really paying a lot of money on rent. If you could stretch that a bit longer, I'd advise you do. So don't be in a rush. You know, if you can even buy another place where you're able to get some rental income from there without living there, and you keep living at home, then do that. Whilst I was living at home, I already had a couple of properties, you know, so yeah. Anyways, moving on from that, I think we have the last two. So we have completely moved back to Ghana. That's bold. I second that 100%. I think the opportunities in Ghana is tremendous. Ghana is moving at a fast pace. It's becoming attractive to everybody, from, you know, Nigerians to Europeans to Americans. So think about how you can help Ghana grow. Because I think the problem is a lot of people go into things and they just think, what can I get from it? They go into 365 Moguls, they think, what can I get from 365 Moguls? The more you think of how can I contribute to 365 Moguls, the more 365 Moguls benefits you. The same thing can be said for Ghana as well. How do you contribute to Ghana? And that's how you're able to, because when you contribute by planting, then you can get the seeds out of it as well. So that's that. Then you want to be fluent in Spanish. I've talked about Spanish already. Crazy how people have some similar goals on here. Then you want to start trading on live funded accounts. Again, the opportunities are right there for you. The steps are in the room, the learning room. If you want to, you know, sign up to a couple of these accounts, by all means. And good luck in your goals. So we're down to the last two. This person here wants to completely move back to Ghana. I think that's amazing. But when thinking about moving back to Ghana, just think of how you can add to Ghana. The more you can add to Ghana, the more you then can take away from Ghana. It's like people coming into 365 and thinking, oh, what can 365 do for me? No, what can you do for 365? And then once you add to 365, it helps you to connect better with everyone else as well, because then you then have value. So what's your value in Ghana? So think about that very carefully before moving back. You also want to be fluent in Spanish. I've talked about languages already. And you want to start trading funded account. I've talked about that already. In a learning room, you can find some of the funded accounts that you can apply for. And finally, this person here wants to be more consistent in trading options. So what's stopping you from being more consistent in trading options? And that's quite different, because we actually don't trade options on the network. So I'm happy to have a conversation with you on a one-to-one basis. You want to read more books? Very, very easy. It's about your routine. So get into a routine. Let's say you wake up at 6, you spend 30 minutes laying around in bed. The next 30 minutes is literally for reading. Even if it's 5 pages, goes a long way. And as time goes on, you start to build on that, and you start to, read more books, and you start to actually enjoy it. It doesn't feel like a task anymore. And finally, he wants to have a stronger mind as his goals. You're on the right track, because you're already talking about reading books. Reading books fortifies your mind. Try and travel out as well, and just try and self-meditate. Talk to yourself, understand yourself, fall in love with yourself. The more you are one with yourself, the stronger your mind is. Nothing affects you, because here becomes a fortress. Here becomes, your sanctuary as well. So you know, I think there's a few steps that you can take towards having a sound mind. It's also about those around you. What kind of people do you surround yourself around? What kinds of events do you even go to? You know, what kind of females do you talk to? These are all things that build into having a strong mind. So just try and lead a better life and you'd find yourself, you know, breezing through these goals. Anyways, I wish you guys luck. And once again, welcome to 2023. And I would love to see you guys go on and do some amazing things in December. I'd love us to have a reverse of this video where we sit down talking about all we've achieved and start to compare it to some of these goals that we've had. Anyways, if you're tuning in for the first time, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It's JVceo.